computer. Lovely. So, hi everybody. Welcome to the BAC Fall 2022 parent meeting. This is great. We got 175 people on, so that's wonderful. Well worth the $150 we had to spring for the fancy Zoom license. This is great. Thank everybody for taking your time here. We'll try to keep it short and be respectful of your time. So with that, some introductions. I'll introduce myself. I'm Jacob. I've been with BAC since the fall of 1999 when I was an 18-year-old freshman at UW-Madison. I've been the kind of coached all the groups for a long time, bounced around and kind of did a lot of different stuff. I've been the head age group coach has been my title for the last maybe 12, 15 years, something like that. Working with primarily age group kids at the beginning, and then more recently kind of the junior middle school age type kids. With Drew's retirement, we'll talk about Drew a little bit later. Obviously, people that have been around are well familiar with Drew and know the contributions he had to the club. With Drew's retirement this summer, I've been promoted to the head coach and CEO. I'm incredibly excited and honored to kind of take the first season kind of by storm here. So that's going to be great. Let's see. So one of the things, and if you've been reading and getting the emails, hopefully you have, otherwise you wouldn't have had this link. One of the things we sent out was sort of a change in kind of our leadership positions. And the interesting thing there is instead of what's old is new again, it's what's new is old again, right? So we have a lot of people in new positions and new spots, but none of us are new to BAC. And if you look at myself as the head coach and CEO, if you look at Chris as the head senior coach, if you look at Derek up and taking a leadership role in SOC, Jay being the head junior coach, between the four of us, we have over 50 years of not just coaching experience, but direct coaching experience with BAC. So on the surface, what looks like, a fair amount of new people in new positions, we're all old, right? We've all been here. Chris and Jay aren't old, but we're all certainly BAC veterans that have been here a really long time. I am, especially with Drew's retirement, the only continually serving coach for Badger Aquatic Club. I was here when we were founded in the fall of 1999, and I'm not going anywhere for a while, so that's good. Real quick, we'll just glance at the agenda. I'm going to email this agenda out, so don't feel like you need to scribble this down. But here's just sort of the agenda for the day. Overview, we'll have some introductions. Shane from Simply Swimming is here. We'll talk a lot about the website. We'll talk about MAP, which is the Minor Athlete Abuse Prevention Policy. Financial statutory registration for...
You gotta be patient with me.
You gotta mute. Registration for 2022. Communication best practices and a kind of a conclusion there. So without further ado, one of the people that is not able to be here tonight is Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson is one of the people in a new leadership position. And that is he's the new board president. So he's a lot of you have met him. If you haven't met Brian, you've probably seen him. If you're a BAC veteran, he's worked the computers for us generally at meets. And he is working the computer for daughter Kennedy's meet right now at Monona Grove. So without further ado, I'll let Brian introduce himself.
No sound on this right now, Jacob.
Sorry, what, Chris? Chris, do you have something to say?
I can't hear any sound. I don't know if anyone else can on this.
No, there's no sound.
Oh, well, maybe we will just have to, you guys can just link. You know what? I guess it'll
there is sound on the video. If are you muted on YouTube?
I don't believe so. I mean, I can hear the sound. This is, I did switch to my new computer, Chris. The old one is really fritzing on me. So maybe I don't have the settings yet. All right, well, you know what, rather than take everybody's time to figure it out, I'll stop the share. So like I said, I'll send the agenda out and I'll make sure to link to Ryan's video there. But Brian has been, speaking of old faces and new places, Brian's been on the board for 5 or 6 years now. As I mentioned, he has a daughter, Kennedy, who's a freshman at MG. Ethan is a junior at MG. They both went back since Ethan was on deck in the womb because Brian and wife Jenny were back coaches when they were young and married and pregnant with Ethan. So Ethan was on the back pool deck since he was pre-born. So Brian has a long history with BAC, to say the least. If you have questions, you can put them in the, if you have like general questions that you think might be global, you feel free to put them in the chat and we'll have coaches keep an eye on those. If you have specific questions about your kid, let's just either wait or you can wait till the end. If you have specific questions about your kid, maybe that probably email's a better thing for that. When we used to do these meetings in person, we would do coach introductions. We do have some coaches on now, but we're not going to take the time to do everybody. It just kind of we did it last year and it took a lot of time to kind of click through everybody. Instead, we'll have our coaches send introduction emails for the groups they're working with, and also our coaches bio page that you've gotten a link to before, but I'll resend as well, has pictures of all our returning coaches and updated bios, and we will be getting some of our new coach pictures up there relatively soon. Let's see. That's kind of all the introduction stuff. We do have on here Shane Wilden from Simply Swimming. If you guys aren't aware, we've sent a couple emails with high praise for Simply Swimming, and deservedly so. Having, a lot of places these days are brick and mortar, or there's an online presence, and Simply Swimming having the hybrid of a lot of ability online, a lot of powerful online commerce stuff, with the idea that I almost popped in yesterday because I was just in the neighborhood, right? They're just right on the curve there in Middleton on University Avenue. So having that hybrid is really, really helpful for us. You've gotten some emails about the clothing order that's open in apparel, but I'll let Shane kind of speak for himself. So let me spotlight you here, Shane. There you go.
All right. Thank you. I'm Shane Wilden with Simply Swimming. We are very excited to be back working with BAC again this year. So for the returners, it's very similar to what it's been in the past. So just a few highlights to kind of touch on and maybe make the experience a little easier for everyone that's new. I know that Jacob has sent a lot of links out for your team portal that we've created. You can also just go to your BAC website. I see that's right on there. I just checked just now. Just click on that, and that's going to take you to where you need to go to kind of find anything that you need when it comes to gear, suits, all the above. As far as the clothing goes, that's all on there as well, this year's clothing. Sorry about the phone ringing in the background here. As far as the portal, so everybody, now Jacob, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe everybody with your fees, you get a suit, you get a cap, and you get a t-shirt. Okay, so the first
latex cap. Yep. So yeah, there's a suit that you get, there's a shirt that you get, there's a latex cap that you get. The silicone caps you order are different, a different design, a different look, and you can get your names on that. And obviously some kids prefer silicone versus latex. And the shirts that are available for sale are a different design. And sorry, this may be what you're gonna say, Shane, but a different design than our team shirt. Kids are gonna get the team shirt. Kids can also order any of the shirts that are available for sale, but those are also intended for parents or anybody else.
Right. So the most important thing with the items that you're getting that are built in, the cap, to one size fits all. So if you're not used to caps, there is any cap that is the same size. As far as the t-shirt goes, make sure that you have your correct size in your Team Unify, because that's where the sizes are coming. So if you're someone who is a returner, who your child has grown, please update that, because that's the list that we get to then produce the t-shirts. For suits, when you go on the website, you will see all the different options for suits. There's 2 different backs for the girls. There's a jammer for the boys and a brief for the boys. It is marked as $0. You just have to put your size in, and the rest we take care of it from there. So just make sure if you have 2 kids entered, that you go ahead and order 2.
Oh, sorry, Shane. Oh, sorry, Shane. In my zest to mute somebody that was talking, I muted you. So go ahead and unmute yourself. Oh, Shane, sorry, you're still muted, buddy.
There we go. If you are someone that wants multiple suits for your child, multiple back suits, which there's some out there, you would get the one that's going to come with all the gear through the team, and then you'll need to come into the store for the second one. If you are unsure on sizing for suits, for clothing, parkas, any of that good stuff, please come in. So we have everything. We have all the samples. They're blank samples of the apparel, but at least you'll get to figure out exactly what size you need as far as suits. If your swimmer is either going to change from a jammer to a brief or changed from a flyback to a crossback, and you're not sure how they fit, please come in because there are some differences in the fits. The deadline for ordering is a pretty hard and fast deadline because we are trying to get everything produced into you guys before the first swim meet. So it is September 18th. Make sure that you have all your orders in by then, because then we will be pulling down all of the items. There's always the parkas and backpacks. We do keep those up in case you decide that you want to add something later on like that, because those are embroidered items. We can do those kind of one at a time. So those do stay up. Suits, if for some reason your child loses a back suit and you need another back suit, those are always available in store. We print those throughout the day. So if you come in and get fit, we can print it and send it on the way with you. Those are kind of the hot button items. So if you have any questions, please, we're here to help, especially for the newcomers. As far as gear goes, all the staff here is either coached, swam, worked here forever. We can guide you in the right direction and make sure you get the right fit on fins and kickboards and snorkels and all that good stuff as well. So we have everything that you need. When you order online, if you want to just pick it up with the team, please select curbside pickup. If you select curbside, then it's going to save you on the shipping. If you're someone who really wants it shipped to your house, you can select the shipping and we'll send it right to your house as well. Those are kind of the general questions that we get. Anything else, like I said, please use us. We're here to help. I mean, we love the sport of swimming. We love BAC, and we want to make sure that you guys have a great experience.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Shane.
Yeah.
And then Shane and the store contact information is really easy to find on their website. So if anybody has any questions, rather than go through that now, we'll just allow you to email Shane or anybody else at the store. Like you said, they've been wonderful to us. Predating Shane, Susie was the longtime owner and proprietor there, and it was just amazing to us. And Shane has carried that on, so we're very appreciative of Simply Swimming. And like you said, if you want to stop in, check suit sizes and stuff. And while you're there, if you need new fins or if you need paddles for the groups that need paddles, or a snorkel for the groups that need snorkels, that's a great place to get them. So perfect. All right. So yeah, any questions to Shane, you can pass them on to him. Thanks, Shane. You can take off. All right, on to the BAC website. The first thing is just the elephant in the room. A lot of you are probably familiar with Team Unify. Seems like more and more, nearly every summer team uses it. But it is, if you're going to tell me that like Team Unify isn't necessarily the greatest platform in the world, I'm not going to collapse onto my fainting couch. There are a lot of things that are really strong about Team Unify, but there are also some known issues. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with just sort of a generic account on here. So this is, for those of you that maybe swam, for those of you that are new, you probably haven't seen our website much. Those of you that swam maybe fall, winter, and did not spring, summer, maybe haven't seen the new website. We updated the new website. It's got a little bit of a new look. One of the, to me, just like really frustrating things is when you log in, this is the first screen that you get to. Especially on a mobile, it can be really confusing because this view team website down here is you have to scroll down to find it. So we had Chris post a message here that's been up there for months now. But what's frustrating is this is the functional end of the website, right? This is where you go, and we'll do this later. This is where you go for billing and events and stuff like that. But it's just, we work hard to get the aesthetic front of the web up, and we update the pictures, we update the message, and it's just like, it's hard to find almost, right? So this is the front of the web. This might be for some of you an easier way to navigate. Some of you might prefer the other one. The other one's called sort of the back office version, or the login. So here's the parent swimmer. Then you can, excuse me. You can use that to, I gotta move so you can go into the My account, and then you get the other screen from there. Let's see. So just kind of the general stuff. If you're looking at it from the front page, we have a tab for each location: Madison, Baraboo, and Sauk. So east side and west side information is here. This is just sort of the general information. This is a tab you might have been looking at a lot preseason. As the season gets going, honestly, they're tabs you're not going to look at nearly as much. One tab you're going to look at a lot, and we'll talk about specifically in a bit, is the practice calendar tab. That for especially our Madison groups, that's where we have all the changes and the updates for practices. For our SOC and Baraboo groups, we're going to have similar Google calendars that link from their sites. Having just too many from this one page is confusing. Emails and docs. I'm going to bring attention to that one real quick. This is whenever we send anything that goes out to like the entire. Anytime we do anything that goes to the entire. I really wish I had the ability to mute somebody else. We'll figure it out.
I must take my pig.
Oh, there it is. Anytime we send something that goes to everybody, we're also going to post it here. So here's the welcome letter we sent last Friday. Here's that leadership team document. Here's a picture of the apparel. Here's the infomercial we sent yesterday. We'll get the this video link posted. We'll get the agenda posted here as well. So that way, if you remember getting an email that you felt was important that went to the whole team, you don't necessarily have to search through all the emails from me. You should be able to go to this and find it. What we won't have here is all of the the weekly emails for the ribbon group or whatever, right? So just the team-wide, super important stuff. Contacts and payment share, we'll talk about that more later. Meets, we'll talk about that. Back hosted meets and fall programming. Ooh, perfect. Let's see. Practice calendar. Here it is in all its glory for the Madison groups. Works pretty slick in general. You can just kind of see one thing that throws people off. It does start on Monday and runs through Sunday rather than what you're maybe used to looking at. Let's see. The other thing is this one is the West Madison groups. This one is the East Madison groups. Like I said, we'll have a separate one for Baraboo and SOC. I don't know how we're going on that, but we'll have those up on our web as well. You can subscribe to this. You can filter, obviously, just subscribe to the groups that you care about, all that stuff. One tricky thing is mobile, looking at this on a mobile device, it displays well. But Safari has known issues with these Google calendars where they think you're a robot and it thinks you're a robot and you're trying to do those like CAPTCHA, like which one have palm trees tests, you can't pass it. So what I've done, much to my frustration, but it actually works pretty slick, is I just downloaded like another browser. I downloaded Firefox and I just use that for this. So Safari on your iPhones does have an issue sometimes with viewing this web page. So another browser should fix that. Let's see. We go back. So now we're Timmy Swimmer here, but I think I need to do a quick recheck here. Chris, Chris could do this. Chris, can you log into the BAC account real quick? I set up a couple of fake meets, but I set them up as admin only. So if you could just open those up so I can fake sign Timmy up for them, that would be great. Yep. In the meantime, there is the 2023 meet schedule. We'll just kind of do this in a little reverse order. So here's the meet schedule as of now. Obviously, some of these meets are in February, and there's some TBD, to be determined stuff on that. But this is kind of the general schedule we have. It's a lot like past schedules. We have a meet kind of in town every 2 or 3 weeks, so we try to make it really convenient for you there. Another good document, especially for new or newer swimmers, is this USA Swimming meet frequently asked questions document. So this is kind of starts with some of the basic stuff and talks a lot about kind of some of the frequently asked questions for meets, but especially meets related to how they might compare to the summer meets that some of you are going to be more familiar with. So especially new swimmers, this is a very valuable document to check out. Like with a lot of stuff, we try to keep it quick and to like one page. Like we have a lot of like just a one sheet document that we do for each meet. We do for kind of all the major things that we share. All right, let's see if Chris had any luck on that.
Yep, should be good.
Page. Oh, my bad. You can go to the right page. Thanks, Chris. That was much better than me trying to do it. Okay, so here's Timmy Swimmer. We will often phrase meets like this, so we put the close date right in the title. We're going to try something we tried last year. It was we're going to try to get a lot of the close dates on Thursdays, just for consistency's sake, and that way we can remind everybody about the close date with their Monday meet email, send out a reminder maybe on Wednesday, like, hey, tomorrow's the last day. And then one thing we're going to have to do this year, just kind of the size of the team and then the reality of the situation is, if the close date is the 8th and you come to us the 10th, it might be a no. There'll be other meet opportunities and we'll take care of you then, but it's getting harder and harder to sneak people into meets after the fact. All right, so as you can see here, here's fake meet number 1. I'm logged in right now as the Swimmer family. I'm logged in as one of the parents. My kid is Timmy Swimmer, so I'm going to go ahead and click here on the attend decline button. Here we have Timmy Swimmer. It says click on member's name to declare for this event. So I'm clicking on Timmy Swimmer. I can use this to sign out. If you want to do that, fine. If you don't have to, but what we might do, like on Wednesday before the deadline, is send an email to just the people that are undeclared saying, hey, this is the last one. So if you'd rather not get that email, you can sign yourself out for me. You're not attending. So I'm going to sign Timmy in. Now, as soon as I did that, all these events that Timmy is eligible for popped up. Well, new people, please read that frequently asked questions document, because we're going to kind of bulldoze through some of the details on how meets work. But USA meets are very different from club meets. They're very a la carte. They're very, each one has a very different format. Okay, so each one might have different events available to your swimmer. Timmy is 12. So you can see down here, he's available for the 11-12 events that are scheduled this day. But he's also available for these events that are called open. Open is an age group that is, just like it says, open to anybody. This is where people get confused, especially newer people, but veterans as well. Timmy, this is day 1, session 1. Here's his events. Day 2, session 2. Day 2, session 3. So this is the morning. This is the afternoon. Timmy is welcome to do open events, but open in this case is probably going to be mostly big kids, mostly 13 and over, or even 15 and over athletes. 11-12 is probably the area he wants to be in. Maybe he's got a sibling in this one, or maybe he really wants to do the 200 breast that he's never done before. That's fine. What we really kind of frown upon universally, though, is say doing the 200 breast in the morning and the 100 back in the afternoon. Even if those are his 2 most favorite events, he's going to be there 7 hours, and that's not good for anybody. And even if he says, oh, I don't mind, I'm really excited for it, a year of that, he's going to be hating it, and then he's going to quit. So we like to stick to 1 session per day, unless there's very unusual circumstances, which you can email your coach. So getting out of this fake meet number 1, we're also going to go into, see if this reloads. Fake meet number 2. Oh, this is, sorry, I'm in the kind of the back office section, right? Now I'm in my account. So this is where you can find events from here. So now I'm going into events and competition and team events here, loading team events. Fake meet number 2. Okay, I want to sign Timmy up for this one. Okay, this is Timmy swimmer. I want to declare him yes. What we have, 5 or 6 meets a year, we have a meet with time standards. This meet has time standards. You can see them over here. Timmy swimmer is an 11-12 boy, has to be faster than a 2:32 in his 200 IM in order to be eligible for this event. His best time is a no time. So you can see all of these events are listed as not qualified. So if you ever run into a meet like this, it generally means that your swimmer is not eligible for those events. Sometimes there's mistakes, so certainly email if you have a question, but I wanted to show what that looked like for folks. So when we get to single age state or the Western Great Lakes Open or Schrader A Plus or some of the season ending meets, only some swimmers are eligible and only for some events. All right, let's see. Back to this. So here's where you can do things like account info and let's say Timmy. So this is swimmertimmy@gmail.com. That's mom's email address or dad's email address. You could enter the kid's email address here or somebody else's email address here, or if you have separate households or whatever you want, there's room for you to add as many, or not as many, but there's room for you to add these additional alternate emails. You can also change phone numbers and stuff like that if we need to get a hold of you. This is also where you go in and take a look at Timmy, and this is where you would update Timmy's shirt size, everything like that. Let's see. This is also where you're going to see invoices and payments here under billing. There's also some things on here that probably you won't ever use. You can find your times here. You can find Deck Pass. It has some interesting tools that you can look at. We're not going to go into it now, but basically, like, you can explore from here once you get in there. But the main things are people want to add an email address, people want to check on invoices, people want to check out meets. If you have any questions on how it looks for you, you can go ahead and email those later or put them in the chat. Meet schedule, we talked about it. Let me go back to it here. One thing you'll notice is any of the highlighted blue meets are hosted meets. We already sent an email about the Spooktacular. Plan was to have it at Middleton. They can't find enough guards. It boggles the mind, right? There is a national lifeguard shortage, but there are so many hundreds of lifeguards in this community that we're hoping that this is just a temporary thing and that they're going to get, I don't want to say get their act together, but get it figured out that they can staff these meets, because it's not cheap to rent their pool. I can't believe they're turning away pool rent for a whole weekend. But as it sits, the Spooktacular is moved to SOC and it's combined to one day. Right now, the BAC holiday splash in December, we got obviously some time to figure that out, but that's slated at Middleton, as is the BAC regional championship. We're also hosting a single age state meet at Verona, a big meet we call the BAC January Classic at Verona. And then we have another Groundhog one day, very similar in format to the Spooktacular, that we call the Groundhog up in Sauk. Seems like a lot, and it seems like a lot of different meets and a lot of information. We'll bring them to you one by one, and we'll go from there. There are a lot of meets on here. No one will do all of them. In fact, Glow and McFarland are the same weekend. Glow is one of those time standard meets. So swimmers that qualify, super highly encouraged. It's a great meet to attend to. If you only have one cut, so it's not worth going, or you don't have any cuts at all, McFarland, great local option for you. Your swimmers, because obviously it's going to vary by age and group, your swimmers coach is going to send you a lot more information on how these meets work as we get further into the season. We do, when you participate in a BAC hosted meet, the expectation is that there's a volunteer requirement for that. We will send out some more kind of information on volunteer requirements. There are some things you can do beforehand. There are some things you can do afterward. Sauk parents, if you're interested, we're going to have a Friday night help set up for the meet shift. Then if you do that, you don't have to work the meet at all. So that'd be a really nice one. But there's a lot of different jobs, and we'll send all that out as we get closer to kind of our hosted meets. Something that we've traditionally done is when we host a state meet, we have the expectation of people participating to volunteer, even if their swimmer isn't eligible. I think the size of this state meet, we will not need everybody, but we will need some people. We're working on some other volunteer options for that meet as well. This meet also in February, we are going to bid for that meet. We historically generally do pretty well in winning the meets that we do bid for. This year with basically a very similar meet held just 2 months earlier at Verona, I wouldn't be surprised if the Milwaukee teams vote in a block and deliver to somewhere like Ozaki or something, but we'll see. So we may have another meet here, and we'll find that out in about a month. Let's see. Just check my notes here. Like I said, that frequently asked document, very important for new families. Okay, I'm going to stop the share. Just kind of moving on to the next agenda item and a little bit of a yeah.
There's a question in the chat about addresses for the pools. I know that used to be on the old website. Is that on the new website?
I don't know if it is. Yeah, that's a great question. So actually that transitions really well into my next thing, Rachel. Like I said, we updated the new site in the spring, and I think we found some things as we get ready for this fall that didn't migrate over the way we wanted them to. So we're gonna look at that. So that probably is something that if it's somewhere, it might be too hidden. So we should figure out a way to send that out, and maybe we'll just put together a handout as well. That's a very good point. Not only addresses, because the addresses are easy enough to Google, but I don't know, so the Monona Grove pool is at the Monona Grove High School. There are 24 entrances all over the place, right? You don't know where to go. So we will send something that's great. Rachel, if you could email me a reminder for that right now, just so I don't forget. Thank you. All right, so one of the other things that didn't make it to our web, but there's tons of resources out there, is for MAP. It's called the Minor Athlete Abuse Prevention Policy. This is something that's been in all Olympic sports the last 5 or 6 years. It is not a USA Swimming policy. It is a USOC policy handed down to USA Swimming, and USA Swimming hands it down to us. The agenda you'll get has a link to the USA Swimming resources if you're curious. We will also get our MAP information back up in the next couple of weeks. It's something to get back up on our web. Basically what it is I had in my notes from last year, and we talked last year about it, that it was something that it's a lot of common sense action, and it's a lot of stuff we were already doing, right? Stuff like coaches shouldn't be alone with swimmers. Coaches shouldn't be texting a swimmer privately, right? Or emailing a swimmer privately, or any kind of electronic communication with a swimmer privately. So a lot of things like that we feel were common sense and things we were already doing well before as official policy. But in looking at my notes last year, I want to make sure that didn't somehow come off as like that we don't take this seriously, right? This is something that we did have the policies in place. We continue to have the policies in place. Even the ones that aren't always so logical, right? Like I get it that a coach shouldn't be able to send an email to a swimmer after 10 p.m. But if I'm emailing 500 people, like I might violate MAPS tonight because it might take an hour for this video to compress and get uploaded onto YouTube, and then I'm going to email it to you. And that's technically a minor MAPS violation because I emailed you guys past 9 p.m. So But we generally take these very seriously. If you have any questions on any of them or how BAC implements them or anything like that, don't hesitate to ask. Sherry, are you on? Sherry lives out. Sherry, if you guys don't know, as I
Yes.
look for her, perfect. Sherry is
Yes.
a longtime BAC employee. She's been
Long.
kind of the business person. Sherry's son, Sam, was a standout swimmer. She's been our kind of business director since we existed, Sherry?
18 years.
Okay, not
18
quite.
years.
All right, all right.
But I've been with BAC longer than that.
She now is semi-retired, so she lives out in the country on a little hobby farm with like 74 chickens and like 6 dogs and whatever else. So she has unreliable internet here, so she's probably just gonna do audio, but she can talk kind of through. Are you gonna try video, Sherry?
I'll try video. It seemed
right,
to
let's
work
see
this morning.
All right.
All right. So, like you said, I'm doing the financial, take care of the financials of the club.
Hold on, Sherry.
And
I'm
our
trying to get
programming
you. I'm
starts
trying to get
next
you
week.
spotlighted.
Oh, okay.
Perfect. There you go. All right, go ahead, Sherry.
So our programming starts next week. So I'll probably put the fees into your accounts the week of the 26th. Now, we always have 2 weeks for kids to decide if the program is right for them or if they're in the right group. So you need to let us know by, would you say September 30th, Jacob? If they're leaving or if they're
Sure.
not going to be after that time, and you don't tell us and we charge your account and a month goes by, you're obligated to pay those fees because we kept somebody out of the program and we're at capacity. And so keep that in mind. Email one of us, email me. If you're getting an invoice, when I send them out on the 1st or the 2nd of the month, that means there are charges in your account. Don't just ignore them like some people do and say, oh, I don't know what that was for, so I didn't do anything. Well, if you're getting them, they're in an account. Let's take care of them. Let's get rid of them, or let's figure out what's going on. So we'll get the fees will be in by the end of the month, by the week of the 26th. We do have this 2 payment plan option, so you can pay half now and you can pay half in October sometime. If you need a special payment plan, you can get a hold of me. All we ask is that that all the fees are paid by the end of the session, which is done by 12/4, December 4th. We want all fees paid up by that time. Meet fees are also added into your account. You don't go and pay any of the fees. When you look at the meet information online, there's always a page that's for other teams. You don't have to send that into us. The fees will be all entered into your account. When you get the email and it says you have an invoice, log into your account and look at the charges. Make sure they're correct. I have to hand enter a lot of these, not so much the meet fees, but I have to hand enter them and mistakes can be made. And so make sure that they're correct and just let me know. I can fix it for you. Let me see. Jacob, okay. Let me see. One other thing, meet fees, I got that. Okay, you can pay by check or credit card or a debit card. Keep in mind that the check and the debit card, there are extra fees that are added to your account. So if you don't want any of those extra fees, just send a check, not a problem. That's it. Were you going to show them how to go in and look at my account and my payments, Jacob?
Yeah, I showed him where the invoice thing was.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
So just make sure you go in there and check them and make sure all the fees are correct.
Perfect.
I don't know if it still goes, Jacob, but in the past, when people sign up for meets, once we send the meet file into the other team, when we've paid the money and you cancel out, you're still obligated to pay that fee. If we paid the fees, we won't be out of the money. So unless you get a hold of Jacob and there's some circumstance, he can work with you on that.
Super. All right. Yeah. And obviously, if you guys have any email questions, you can send emails to Sherry. And yeah, basically, she does a great job with all of the finance and stuff like that. Is Derek on? Derek, are you on?
Jacob, before we jump to Derek, there was a question about USA swimming fees and if they'll show up on our invoices too.
Talk about that later.
That's what yeah.
Yeah. Well, so that's what I'm gonna talk about next. But if Derek, if you're gonna go after this, if you're on, if not, we can do you later. So that's a great question. Then leads right into the next thing. You guys are being very serendipitous. USA Swimming as a sport nationally has completely revamped their registration system. It used to be that Sherry would talk to, or a representative of a club would talk to the person with the LSC, with local swim committee, which for us is basically the state of Wisconsin, and say, hey, here's a report of all our athletes, and here's $65 for each one of them, and boom, right? And she would handle all the registration. They've now passed that on to each family individually, and it's going about how you'd expect, which is not as smooth as it could. But we had a good talk today with the registrar, with Angela Monty at the Wisconsin LSC, and it's going to get figured out. It's not so complicated, it's just there's a few wrinkles. Basically, the purpose they're doing it is so they have up-to-date information. Just like we said that maybe your kid's t-shirt size, as Shane said, they've outgrown it like 3 years ago. We had a lot of people whose USA Swimming registration had wrong address, wrong email, and just a lot of wrong, out-of-date information. So making you guys go in and update it every year is going to be the new standard. It's not horribly complicated, but rather than talking you through it now, we're just going to send a separate document. We also have some resources from both Angela and some other LSCs that we're going to pass along that should help you through it pretty well. I figured it out pretty quick, so it's not that bad.
And so it's so close to my knee.
Let's see. So I don't know if Derek will hop on, but if not, we'll just skip to the next thing.
I'm on.
Oh, perfect, Derek. All right, Derek is our SOC lead coach, and is also going to be kind of spearheading the sponsorship thing. Let me get you spotlighted here, Derek, and then you can go ahead and talk.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm a little dark. Hi, my name's Derek. Nice to have so many families on. It's great. It's a good bit of information, and I know we're trying to cover it quickly. Basically, we haven't done sponsorships for a couple of years, and partially because we didn't have meets, and that's one of our places that we really highlight our sponsors. So we're looking for sponsors this year, and I'm going to be reaching out to everybody and giving an opportunity to kind of look at what our sponsorship deals are. But I'm also going to be reaching out to some of y'all personally over time. We have set up in the past sponsorship deals in different levels, and kind of you can take a look at it and see what meets your needs. Things that we have offered in the past include your advertisement on a banner that is at the meet, big banner that's at the meet, information in the heat sheets. We can do ads in the heat sheets. I'm not sure what our opportunities are going to be with scoreboards, but in the past at Middleton, we've had your name highlighted up on the scoreboard, and then things like announcements at the meets and things like that. So we have opportunities to kind of get your name out, get your whatever business you are working with to a group of parents and athletes that are comfortable with working with the people that sponsor the team. So love to chat with anybody that wants to. You can get a hold of me. My email is probably going to it's going to change to one that is BAC centric.
Yeah.
But I don't have that quite yet. But otherwise you can do my first name, last name at gmail.com, derekshear@gmail.com. That'll keep being my email regardless of the new one. So that's all I wanted to say tonight. Just trying to keep it short, but hope to talk to a lot of you guys. We can get your business out in front of a lot of folks. So
awesome. Thanks, Derek. Yeah, as Derek said, we haven't done anything since kind of the year before COVID, right? So with that, we've always tried to kind of look at the silver lining of that whole experience with what it's provided. But one of the silver linings is that right now we don't, like, if you are connected or know someone that has a business that might be interested in sponsoring, we would very much like to hear your idea of what you would like from that, right? We also are going to come back to doing newsletters so we can have ads in that. And we've typically had sponsors have links on the web as well. So we'll send more email on that there are more information on that later, but wanted to get there. Two more kind of miscellaneous things before I kind of get to some of the philosophical stuff at the end. I won't try playing it, but Connie Martin recorded a video. She is in California with one of her daughters. If you don't know Connie, she has been a longtime back coach. She's been a longtime fitness coach, 40 years, she said, which I don't believe it. I don't know that she's that old, but she's been doing fitness stuff for a long time. And had 3 daughters that came through BAC. All were excellent swimmers, also ran for UW-Madison. Connie has done in the past, and it's been a while, so I think we'll do again this year, some parent education stuff for us, and just kind of like the philosophy that she and her husband Tom had with these kids. And she had raised amazing kids that were all very high level swimmers, including Ivy, who was on the national team. But she has been running our dryland program, which is especially for older kids, but this year we're going to bring elements of it down younger and younger. And she is just over the moon about it and excited about it. And you can watch the video that kind of conveys that excitement. Another miscellaneous thing, I think Ben and Rick could kill me. Rick, do you want to say anything about officiating? I think I saw you on here, or do you just want me to plug it?
Yeah, I'm on, if you can hear me.
Yeah. I'll spotlight you.
Fabulous. So volunteers, backbone of this organization. You'll hear a lot more about volunteers, volunteering at meets, but there's one particular group of volunteers, the officials, that are quite honestly required to make our meets run and to run legally and to all the rules of USA Swimming and the LSC, that we meet those. COVID, as we've all talked about, has done a lot on our recruiting efforts, and really would like the opportunity to pitch. If anyone is interested in learning about becoming an official or would like to become official, Wisconsin Swimming does offer clinics. There's a virtual one coming up, I believe, next week. You can go out to Wisconsin Swimming in the official site, learn more about that. And it's one of those things that I just want to kind of let everyone know, if you've never swam competitively, you weren't a swimmer, any of that, you can still be an official. We will train you, we will support you, we will mentor you. I came from absolutely zero background in swimming, and am able to officiate the meets. So it's one of those things we would love more people to step up. It is a big commitment, but it is very rewarding in the grand scheme of things, and helps out the club so much. So with that, let me know if you have any questions, or definitely check out Wisconsin Swimming, the website, and look under the officials tab there to learn more.
Thanks, Rick. Yeah, I already have that as part of the agenda, the link, so you guys will get that. Yeah, I mean, so Rick, I guess for new people, returning people probably know, but Rick is the outgoing board president, just voted himself off of the position 2 days ago, yesterday. Rick also had 2 daughters. Caitlin's a junior now, right? At St. Cloud?
She is a 3rd year at St. Cloud in swimming, yep.
And Kinsey's at Grand
Valley State
yeah.
in Michigan, freshman year.
Michigan.
And swimming there as well.
Yeah. Officiating is great in that like the timers hardly ever go out for a beer after the meet, but the officials do. So maybe that's a selling point for you. All right, so kind of that's a lot of the logistics stuff. I did want to spend a couple minutes. We tried to keep it to 45. It's been like 42 on some of the philosophical stuff. So the first thing I want to talk about is communication. Obviously, we think philosophically that a strong communication is absolutely essential to a successful club. Hold on a second. Lily, not now, baby. All right, hold on. All right, hold on. Come here. You were supposed to come right at 7 and say hello. This is my daughter, Lily. I talk about my kids all the time. So this is Lily. Lily's going to say hi to everybody. And Lily, who else is my kid? Jesse, who's 3. All right, everybody say night, Lily. Night, Lily. Sorry. So anyway, communication, super important. Absolutely essential lifeblood of any youth sports organization, especially one that's a really big one like ours, right? So you'll see we sent a bunch of mass emails. Some groups have gotten individual group emails. If you haven't yet, you will in the next couple of days. We have the ability to send individual emails, obviously. If you are someone who comes to practice in person, we generally pay our coaches to be there 15 minutes before and 15 minutes after to interact with the kids, but also to be available for questions for parents. Sometimes if there's back-to-back practice, the coach is active for both groups. That gets a little tricky, but generally we try to be able to pull off for any individual questions you have. Communication's got to be a two-way street. You guys got to communicate yourselves about kind of what's going on. We've had just countless examples over the year of we find out something about the kid. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be any one of 100 things, right? Like we have 400, 500 kids on the team. They're all unique snowflakes, right? And everybody has their own different thing. And we find out something 3 months into coaching them that would have been super helpful to know right away. So if you have anything, any perspective on your swimmer that you want to provide, that would be great. We love hearing positive feedback, of course, right? And that's great. And we typically get a lot of that the first couple of weeks. We got a lot of that for the new swimmer evaluations for those of you that are new, but we need to hear negative feedback too. So if there's something that isn't going as well as you would hope, please don't hesitate to let us know. You can email your coach directly, or if it's something you'd rather take right to me, you can do it to me, or if it's something about me, you can take it right to Brian, the board president. So there's a lot of different avenues for kind of having your voice heard. My mom taught kindergarten for 36 years. And one of the things she always put in the newsletter was, you know, like you want to be at that dialogue, that communication. But she said, if you promise not to believe everything that you hear from your kid about what happens at school, I promise not to believe everything about what happens at home. Right. So that's just a reminder of like, if something is not going super well, or the kid comes home and coach said this, 99% of the time, the coach didn't mean that or didn't say it. And the kid misunderstood, you know, coach said I did a bad job with breaststroke today. Oh no, they were trying to say that, you know, your breaststroke is illegal and we need to do this instead. It's not that you're doing bad. We're trying to help. So anytime you have hopefully it doesn't happen, knock on wood, but if you have a kid that's upset or whatever, please feel free to reach out to us with questions about what actually happened before you get too worked up. Parent-coach communication, super vital. As they get older, that switches more to swimmer-coach communication. That is not to minimize the role of the parent in any way. It's to empower the swimmer and give them ownership over their swimming. So that's something that Chris has already stressed a lot to the senior athletes. Jay has already stressed a lot to kind of that junior, middle school age kids. The older they get, the more we expect them to take ownership of their sport, right? No, we are having masters this year, but basically none of you are on our swim team. Your kids are, and we want them involved and them active. Success, we want obviously a ton of success. Success comes from a great partnership between us, your swimmer, and yourselves, right? USA Swimming for a long time has sort of espoused the values of the best way to kind of have that triangle is for everybody to know their roles, right? Swimmers swim, coaches coach, parents parent. Again, not to diminish you or minimize your role. Like it just, everybody has their role to play in this, in trying to create success for our swimmers. And it's just important to identify who's what, whose role is what, right? Like the swimmer obviously has to have the ownership and has to have the drive and has to have the, you know, ability, and they have to put in the work, right? That's their role. They certainly can ask questions about parents. They can certainly ask questions of coaches, but that's their role. Coaches, we're the experts in swimming, right? We know a lot about swimming. We are absolutely the experts. You know, again, no offense, Rick saying that, you know, Rick knows a lot about swimming now, but as he said, when he started, not so much. Some of you probably very likely have swimming backgrounds, and some of you were very likely very good swimmers. But in this context, it works best if you allow us to be the experts on swimmers and we allow you to be the absolute experts on your, we're the experts on swimming. You are the expert on your swimmer, right? So tying back to what I said, if there's anything you think that would be helpful for us to know to better coach your swimmer, we are all ears. Let's see. So some of the stuff we're gonna do some more parent education stuff. We've been really sort of, especially since COVID, a little passive on some of our parent communication, or some of our parent education. We're looking to do a little bit more active parent education, maybe some Zoom meetings like this that you could either hop on live or watch later as a recording, probably keep it more like 20-30 minutes and a very narrow topic each time. But if you have any questions or any input on what you feel might be helpful for something like that, don't hesitate to reach out. The final thing, like Rick, tying back to what Rick said, second to final thing, with officials is volunteering and getting people committed, right? We have a board of directors, and they're fabulous. And we're going to be reaching out to some people. We're going to have some new board members in the next coming months, and we'll introduce those as they come. But it sort of feels like this is the level of, I'm a timer at a couple home meets a year. And I understand it feels like this is the level of like, well, I was asked to be on the board, and it feels like a huge jump. One thing I think one of my very main goals for this year, and probably my #1 goal outside of swim performance for our team, is to activate our parent base a little bit better. We sent an email about it last spring. For those of you that are returning, for those of you that are new, we'll resend that email sometime in the next week or so. But basically, I envision 4 sort of subcommittees of our board of parents that are not able or willing or interested in doing this, but are able and interested in doing a little bit of work on a very specific thing. I'm thinking a meet committee that can give us feedback on how our meets go from a parent perspective, because us as staff, we think we run great meets, but we see it from a totally different angle than the officials or the parents or the spectators. A fundraising committee to kind of work with Derek and work with also sort of a big fundraising events like our swimathon. A social committee, that's a huge one. That's something that we really need to get activated again, is on a night where the West Side Ribbon Group doesn't have practice, there's parents that are saying, hey, any parents that want to meet up and meet other parents from your kids group, we're going to rent out the back room at, you know, wherever, and have a little appetizers and drinks or something like that, or maybe some bigger social events. But people that are interested in doing that. And then finally, a facilities committee. As you saw, this Middleton not having lifeguards has thrown us for a bit of a loop. And I think that the healthiest future version of BAC could involve us taking some steps to kind of seize a little more control of our own pool time and a little bit more control of our own facilities. So if you are interested in any of those areas, that would be a phenomenal thing to get some people involved in. That's most of what I wanted to say. Speaking of social, for those of you who don't know, those of you who are returning, obviously are familiar with Drew. Those of you that are not, that are new, Drew Walden was the head coach and CEO. I don't think Drew's on. He's out in California with his kids, so I think he has better things to do than be on this meeting. But Drew is the head coach for BAC for most of the last 25 years, and was a head coach of BD, Badger Dolphins, which is a precursor club since I believe he arrived in Madison in the early 80s or maybe even 70s. He's a longtime coach with a immeasurable impact on not just BAC, but kind of he was the general chair for Wisconsin and has served in a lot of roles. So an immeasurable impact on swimming around the state. A great debt to him. He's always a great mentor, and I'm really excited to kind of take over in his footsteps. But one thing we wanted to do, and we've tentatively, so put this on your calendar, October 11th, Tuesday the 11th, is a day where we're bounced out of some of our regular pools for meets, for high school meets. So we're going to try to do a little bit of a team-wide social / retirement party for Drew. Drew retired at the end of this summer, and with everything going on, there just isn't ever in the summer a good date for a definitive season-ending sort of celebration. So we owe Drew that at the minimum. So we're gonna have plans for that, but that's gonna be in about a month. I'm gonna go ahead and hit end to the recording. So let me stop the recording.